Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham and Sam Carlson. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an edge over your competition. If you want to be part of a movement that is taking digital marketers to new heights, this is for you. Let's go.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode number 51. I'm Phil Graham.
Along with his handsome and bald co-host, Sam Carlson. What's up, everybody?
Hey everybody, we are excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking about a topic that we haven't really covered much on the podcast, and that is what you should be doing after you get the click. So once you get people from a Facebook ad to a landing page, and maybe you actually get an opt-in, for example, or you get somebody viewing your page, what's that next step? A lot of people drop the ball. So that is the topic for today.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, actually, because anybody that's ever been told, hey, your lead quality is not good, or I can't get a hold of these leads, or anything negative, really, a lot of times sometimes it's the ad, but a lot of times it's actually what happens after the opt-in. So I'm really excited about it. And you know what else I'm excited about, buddy?
Our free course.
Dude, I am so excited about our free course, which if you're listening for the first time, we have got a free Facebook ads fundamentals course that you can find at myelitegift.com. You guys, if you've listened to the podcast, or if you've wondered, hey, how can I start running ads for my business or as a consultant? Well, you can start out by downloading and going to www.myelitegift.com, getting the free Facebook ads fundamentals course, and getting into campaigns and actually launching them. Trust me, it's free, like legit, it's free. It's a $500 course at least. We're giving it away for free because we care. We really care, I guess.
Yeah, we do.
That's a good reason, right?
Yeah, it is.
So cool. So let's jump right into this thing. And if it's okay, I'll set the stage for what happens. A lot of times, you guys, again, we're talking about what happens after the opt-in. And I think I kind of prefaced it a little earlier. If you've been told that, hey, my lead quality is not good, or I can't get a hold of these people, then chances are there's something that you're not doing after that person opts in. Many times, and I'm guilty of this as much as anybody, we spend so much time, so much effort, and so much strategy, so much mental energy and dexterity thinking about the best way to nurture and convert our prospects into conversions, into actual leads, that once that happens, we get lazy. Okay, and we actually stop. And so today, what we want to talk about is something called the thank you page in your funnel, and what most people do wrong, and maybe a couple things that you can do right. So, Phil, maybe you could kind of lay the landscape of when somebody opts in, what is typical of maybe what beginners do on the thank you page?
Yeah, there's so many different, I've seen so many different people. I think like the most common thing, and it's not necessarily the thank you page, but the most common thing in general that I see is that once somebody gets an opt-in, they maybe try and sell them, but then they stop. They don't email them. They don't keep in contact. And it's not really a thank you page thing, but they essentially don't email their list on a regular basis. We've all been guilty of this. Yeah. But to me, there's a couple big mistakes, and just doing that is like a really, really big one.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the fortune is in the follow-up. That's a age-old saying and phrase. At the time of the actual opt-in, most people in a funnel, and this is something that I see a lot, is they go to a thank you page, and a typical thank you page says, thank you. I mean, it basically says, thank you for the opt-in. Somebody will be in contact with you shortly. And here is the problem with that, you guys. Saying thank you is really not enough, because most of the time when people opt in from what we call interruption marketing, okay, so Facebook is a form of interrupting people during their time on social media and getting them to opt in. Most of the time when they go through your funnel from that source, sometimes they're not 100% sure and I know this sounds funny, but sometimes they're not 100% sure exactly what they did when they opted in. They're, depending on what it is. And so really, I actually started calling the thank you page the ensure and reassure page. Okay. Because at the point of opt-in, you have their undivided attention. Following up by email, I think, is really important, but optimizing and doing the very most you can on the thank you page or the ensure and reassure page is really important. So what I like to do now is I actually like to convert that page. Instead of saying thank you, I like to say, hey, by the way, you just opted in and this is what you got, or this is what that opt-in means. Okay, so whether you're offering a gift or whether somebody filled out a survey and whatever, the next step is. So I like to inform them that, hey, here's where we are and this is where we're going. All right, so that's one thing that we like to do on that thank you page. The next thing is, and a lot of times I'll do that with video, okay? And then the next thing we like to do is use that time. I mean, because right now, we don't have to compete against open rates. They're on the page. So the next thing I like to do is introduce some more personality. So that might be, a testimonial video, a bio, a funny story, anything like that to introduce the audience to your client, okay, or to your business, however it may be. I was explaining an example of this to a client recently, and I said, do you remember back in the 90s, Phil? Do you remember back in the 90s the reality show, and it might be the first reality show, I'm not sure, called MTV Cribs?
Yeah, I do kind of remember that. Yep.
So MTV Cribs, if you think about it, the entire show was 100% about a camera showing up to a famous person's house, walking through and saying, hey, this is my fancy house. That's all it is. And through the course of going through the person's house, you got insights into their personal life and you got to kind of know them. And so I think that concept is it's insight into that person's personal life. And so I was telling this client of mine, I'm like, well, you can just do a walkthrough of your business. Say, hey, this is the person that you'll deal with when you come in the front door. This is this person. This is what we do in this room, and things like that. So I really think just, again, using that thank you page, ensuring people, reassuring, and then trying to make that personal connection with them is extremely, extremely important.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was, some of the things that we do on the thank you page, we don't even use the terminology opt in because it sounds so marketing speak, so we'll use different words for opting in and kind of make it sound, like exciting about what they're going to get. So we like using different terms for that. And I definitely like the idea of like showing more credibility on that page. Like in my mind, when somebody opts in, your selling doesn't stop. It starts like in terms of selling yourself without actually selling, but like demonstrating credibility. It's a great time to help even more. Hey, you just signed up for this and it's going to be there. It's going to be in your inbox, blah, blah, blah. Check this out. I've got this other cool trick that might help you, or so, like where we're not blatantly selling or anything like that, but we're helping them. So we help them even more. We establish our credibility more, give more value, do all the stuff you talked about. And that makes for a much better experience. And then also it's all about setting expectations too. We like to do this. So when somebody does sign up for something, like be clear on what they're going to get. Does that mean they're going to get an email every Thursday, every week, for example, or once a month? What exactly are they going to get? Set those expectations right away so they know what to expect and they're not, surprised by anything. And when you do that, like good things can happen. And then the other thing I wanted to mention on this before we go is another big mistake. And this is not really on the thank you page, but the other big mistake I get that involves lead quality. And sometimes the leads are good, sometimes they're bad. It depends on how good your marketing is and who's doing your ads and all that stuff. But one big mistake I see a lot of, especially local businesses make, is they wait too long to follow up with hot leads. You know, you got somebody that opts in for something, or they sign up, like they want a call, for example. Let's say it's a local dentist or chiropractor, and somebody, you know, wants a call because they have back pain, and the dentist or chiropractor waits like a day or two. It's like, that's too long. You got to call them quickly. You know, people wait, you know, so like dropping the ball on that can also dramatically decrease your results as well.
100%. In fact, there's a couple of, just to add on to that, what we teach our clients is, if a lead comes in, we want to get a hold of that person within 1 minute. 1 minute. If we're able to get on the phone and actually convert that person, or get that person on the phone within 1 minute, and then the next part is the rule of 3. We're able to get them into the business within 3 days. There's a 80+% chance that they'll actually show up, and, you know, the lead will follow through on the thing, you know, the offer or the appointment or whatever it is. So, I mean, at the end of the day, and by the way, these numbers get really interesting, because if you miss that 3 days, instead of 80% plus, the numbers fall to 50% minus. And when you go past 5 days, they drop down under 20%. And when you go past a week, it's 10%. So, I mean, that right there is, I mean, if you're waiting, if your clients or your business, you yourself, if you're guilty of waiting too long on these leads, probably that's the number one thing to fix. That is the first thing that you got to fix, because I tell you what, if that phrase, the fortune is in the follow-up, was ever true, it's more true that fast follow-up is the fortune. You know what I mean? So the fortune is in fast follow-up. So definitely, that was a really good comment. I'm glad you brought that up, because that is probably more guilty than anything for, quote, bad lead quality.
Yeah. You know, if people just took all this info and changed their follow-up a little bit and changed their thank you page and their systems and stuff, they would probably have much better results. And all of a sudden, you know, you go from Facebook ads not working to working, or maybe they're doing pretty well, but then all of a sudden you start 10xing them potentially. You know, like, little things can make big differences. And when you do lots of little things right and they start incrementally improving, like, great things can happen. So make sure you guys are, you know, taking these actions. It's not about, yes, we want to entertain you, you know, during this time, but it's about having you guys also hopefully take this information and put it into practice, put it into use in your business, and then let us know how it's going.
Yep. Go double your conversion rate, man.
Yeah. So that was a good show, my friend.
It was short and sweet, but extremely useful and practical. So go do it, you guys. Episode number 51 is in the books. Thank you so much for subscribing and liking and loving the podcast. Again, don't forget to go to www.mileygift.com and share with your aunt. She really wants to know about it. So
yes, share with everyone, as a matter of fact, especially your grandma. We need more grandmas listening.
That's right.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about us, please visit fbadspodcast.com.